Hey YouTube, so today's Memorial Day, got a little time off. Do a video here about how I make my charcoal. I really love making charcoal, and I like to use it in my Primo smoker, and it's also a real good prep for me. I know I've got, at any given time, got all this wood. We're here in North Georgia and there's plenty of wood, and I know that I can have a pretty much infinite amount of cooking fuel if I need it. So I'm going to go over the two parts of my charcoal maker. It's pretty simple. I've got a 30-gallon drum. This is the inner drum. It's got a locking lid, and it's got 4 small holes drilled in it right at the bottom. They're not underneath because I don't want, if you drill them underneath, you run the risk of them getting blocked up and the gases not being able to escape. So this is the actual chamber where the charcoal that is going to be inside of this, and this one goes inside this one. This barrel has 4 holes drilled in the bottom too. They are 2-inch knockouts from my conduit knockout machine, but some people cut them with a grinder and knock out triangles. You can see the holes though. And so I'm going to show you how I make my charcoal. There's my wood that I gathered yesterday. Just picked up a bunch of wood from where I had some land cleared, and I'm about to get the charcoal I need, or the dry wood, out of here. And this is where I'm going to get my, this is the wood I'm going to actually make into charcoal. Alright, so this next part I'm going to cut the firewood that I have. This is dry firewood, real dry. It's probably been in there a year or two. So, you know, your firewood's not going to last indefinitely. So this is a good way to use up excess firewood. But I've got real dry oak, mostly red oak, and I'm going to cut it into manageable chunks. I've found that if you run it through the firewood or the charcoal process in this size, it just doesn't make quite right. You want it a little smaller, and so I use my chop saw to cut it. People say this is pretty hard on the chop saw, but I think if you go slow and you listen to your chop saw and you get it up to speed, you know, I've seen a lot of guys that'll just press the button and come right down, but I like to get it up and get it, you know, really get it going fast, and then slowly go down on the wood. Oak is real hard, so I make sure I use a new blade with a carbide cutting edge, and not a carbide steel blade, but you know, all new blades have carbide teeth on them. So I think as long as you use the new blade and you go slow and you don't just press the trigger down and cut right down, instead of doing that, you get it up to speed first. I'll show you what I mean by getting it up to speed. If you listen to it, it starts out, and that's full speed. But right here, it takes a minute to get up to speed. So you'll see, guys, it'll just go like my dad. That's not what you want to do. You want to, and then come down. So anyway, I use a dust mask, and I also use hearing protection when I do this. So I'm just going to cut these pieces real quick into charcoal sized chunks, and then I'm going to go to the next step. So I got all my wood cut now, and just going to show you how I like to put it in here. Piece like that, these pieces will, when they're made into charcoal, they'll be so brittle they'll just kind of bust. But I like to pack it in pretty tight, because you want to get as much charcoal out of a single run as you can. Plenty of air. The wood gets smaller as it gets cut, or as it gets heated, it gets smaller. And this video is, only going to be showing you how I put my rig together and set up for a charcoal cook. And I think I'll probably have part 2 of this video. Show you the cooking. I don't know, I might do it in one video. It depends on how long it is. So just position it all in here like so. And I may not have enough. I may have to go get some more oak here. Usually you think you filled it. Think you have enough. When you cut it all into small chunks, it fits tighter. Yeah. I'll have to go get some more, but you see what I'm doing here. I'm just being as efficient as I can be with the placement of the charcoal. I think this is called the stock, but I'm not sure. That's pretty good. I'll probably put one more. Go get one more log. That's actually pretty good. It's about full. So the next step is going to be loading up the charcoal barrel, smaller barrel, into this bigger barrel. And first thing I'm going to do is lay down a bed about 2 to 3 inches of just kind of wood chips and what have you, just to keep this barrel from sitting right on the bottom. I want this barrel to be sitting on top of some stuff. So I'll show you how I have it all packed in a second. So I got my barrel inside. This is a 2-man lift. I just picked it up, but shouldn't have picked that up by myself. You should get 2 people to help you lift this inside, or you should put the wood in there after you put the barrel in there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start placing these logs in and around my barrel. There's pine trees all over here that are have fallen down on the ground, but they're not touching the ground, so they're not rotten, so they're super dry. So I love using those. And I just cut them all to size. And if I can find a couple of those, I can just about get all my wood for a run in there. So I'm going to put all that in there, and you see where I put the wood underneath to keep the barrel up off the ground. I'll go ahead and put the wood in. This is the barrel when I've got it pretty much fully packed. See, there's the burn barrel down in there. It's got the lid on it, and got a little fire built on top. I had some forestry mulching done here a while back, so I got a lot of wood just in good little bite-sized pieces. And so I'm about to light this and start showing you how to make some charcoal. When this burns down lower than here, it'll burn from the top down. I'll put that lid on, and that's when my combustion will get really clear and there'll be hardly any smoke at all. But it smokes pretty good at first. So I got her lit. Fire's going to burn from the top down, and once this burns down to where I can put the lid on, I'll put the lid on, and I usually space the lid with some rebar. I don't want the lid to be closed down all the way. I want there's my primary air down there, and then my secondary air is going to be up here. And I'm going to go get the hose and hose around here. It's been raining a lot, so it's pretty wet here, but don't want to take any chances. The next step is going to be putting on the chimney stack. I think I've heard this thing referred to as a 10-man style charcoal burner, because it kind of looks like a dude with a hat on, maybe. But I've got these pieces of rebar sitting on here. Those are my spacers for my secondary air. If I put this top down all the way, it smokes too much. But I found this gets me just the right amount of space. So there she goes. And as this heats up, it's going to start drafting more, and instead of just kind of slow burning, this thing's going to really start going. You're going to see fire come out of the top of this. You can hear it starting to make noises, and it starts to draw, and the chimney gives you the rocket effect, which causes it to burn hotter because there's more air being sucked in because of the shape of the chimney. So it's sucking in combustion air and just speeds things up, and she lets you know she's working. So the next thing I'll show you is when I start to get some smoke coming out of this. You'll be able to see, probably won't be able to see it on film, but we'll be able to hear, and I will be able to see where the holes are in that barrel. There will be the wood gas coming out of the bottom, and it'll be burning like a torch. Taking a couple steps back, you can see she's starting to burn really clear. Not a lot of smoke. Sometimes I see little flames licking up out of that pipe. There comes some flames up out of the pipe. Pretty cool. So that's that. Yeah, she's burning good. So hopefully it'll stay clear. Sometime it'll get smoky about halfway through and then go clear again, but this one's looking pretty good so far. Charcoal! So this is kind of the final part of the cook. It's actually smoking a good bit right now, but it wasn't smoking at all most of the time. If you listen closely, I don't know if you can hear that or not. That's that rocket effect I was talking about, and then that's also that noise you hear is the wood gas coming out of the burn chamber. So it's coming out of the barrel, and it looks like a little flame if I could find one of the holes. Whew, it's hot. Can't even get close to it. That's pretty much all there is to it. And from here on out, I'm just going to wait for it to finish burning. And when it finishes and cools down, the charcoal will be ready. Well, it rained while I was making this charcoal, but it had pretty much all cooked by the time the rain came, so I don't think it's going to affect it at all. And I'll show you this charcoal. Lift it out of here. If you're going to do this, you need to allow yourself at least a day to make it. But this is not a finished product. Go ahead and dump all that ash off of there. Let's see what we got here. This top can be hard to get off. Top can be hard to get off. And there you have it. That's perfect charcoal right there. Still pretty warm, but very nice. And I'm going to go take it and put it in my airtight container that I have, and that will conclude another successful charcoal make. So you can see how far it burned down. It burned down about a third. I love making charcoal. Love it. Now I like to store my charcoal in this. This is one of those 30-gallon drums. But this one I left the gasket in it. So it's got a gasketed lid. You can see the gasket right there. And keeps my charcoal super dry. Go ahead and transfer the charcoal into here. totally full now. My charcoal is full. Hey, baby. I don't know if I'm going to be able to even get the lid on. Yeah, I will. Can you get a piece of charcoal? Hey. Kids like to draw with it. And there's another successful charcoal run there. Keeping a big bag on hand. So, hey buddy.